afternoon, moms. I'm super excited to kick off this series, which is going to be today, tomorrow, and Thursday at noon. Master Your Mom Guilt. This is a culmination of the last few months of my work with clients in the Vibrant Mama method, with my private clients, and just connecting with all of you here in this community and the moms in my own circle. I see a lot of recurring patterns and themes, and I really wanted to bring in a powerful and potent training for all of you to really tie in some of these concepts and shift your perspective on how you see your role as a mother and how you are fitting into mom life. Whether you are just starting out your journey, you're about to become a mom, or you are many years in. Each day, it's really going to share some thought-provoking questions to get you thinking, to get you feeling, and I couldn't think of a better time of year to really dive into this, as the days are getting shorter, and this energy to me feels very introspective, very grounded, and it's really time to kind of explore the shadows and explore the other sides of motherhood. As you know, if you've been connected with me for any amount of time, I really don't sugarcoat things. Very blunt, very upfront. So today we are diving into the roots of mom guilt and where you might identify in your own personal life where guilt is really playing a critical role, and how you can shift that as we move through day 2 and day 3. So before we jump in, I just want to do like a couple of housekeeping things. I'll be going live every day, today, tomorrow, and Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. The replays, if you signed up through the link in the event page, and that I've posted several times in here, I will be sharing a direct link to the replay, as well as any a worksheet from any of the tools, any of the journal prompts that we've worked through. So be sure, even if you're catching this live right now, be sure to sign up in that link so you get those resources emailed directly to you. That's not something that I'm going to be uploading into the group, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the replays live here. Hey Lakeisha, hey Lee, if you are hopping on live, say a little hey, let me know you're here, and let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're catching this on the replay, hashtag replay and tag me in any comments, any questions, so that I can be sure to address those things as I am going through my day. There's going to be some really fun giveaways over the course of the next 3 days, so be sure to tune in, whether you're making it live or not. Be sure that you are following along so you have a chance to win either a 75-minute session plus a week of Voxer support with me, a really fun journaling challenge that I have where you can get journal prompts emailed to you daily, and some other really cool stuff. So I'm going to share that at the end of this video, and so you can set your week up for success. Are we ready to dive in? Hey Kelsey, hey Lee. Oh, thanks. I could dress myself up today. It was a wash day for curls, so my curly girls know it's a fine-tuned method. Okay, mom guilt. Drop a little hand, an emoji, a heck yes if you struggle with mom guilt. Which chances are, if you signed up for this challenge, if you're in this group, it's something that you wrestle with more often than not. Maybe it's not a daily occurrence, but maybe it's been creeping in. And this is something, it's such a strange year to be a mom and to become a mom, because there's added layers of trauma and stress that we've really never been faced with as a collective before. And so not only is there a lot of unknowns, a lot of stress, but the very thing that connects us with ourselves, with safety, with healing, with well-being, our villages, our communities, is being stripped away, depending on where you live, depending on how safe you feel in engaging in your community. Struggling with mom guilt, Lakeisha. So what does mom guilt look like? I think we say this phrase because it's like a fun phrase to say, right? Mom guilt, mom brain, all of these catchphrases. But when you break it down, when you take a look at what actually is mom guilt, I mean, I could say a lot about this. I have some notes here so I can try to keep myself on track and so that this doesn't take hours long. It looks like decision burnout. It looks like beating yourself up for taking rest. It looks like cycling through negative self-talk anytime you sit down and kick your feet up, or anytime you're not living up to the expectations that either you had in your mind about what motherhood has to look like, or what other people's expectations of motherhood has to look like. It looks like going through the negative self-talk of I should be doing this, I should be doing this. It's living proactively against judgment, which you think proactive, that's a good thing. I like to be really proactive about mental health. I like to be really proactive about a lot of things. But this is almost living in mom guilt, getting into this trap of motherhood didn't really come naturally to me, and I'm trying so hard to figure out my footing in this developmental stage, in this transition, in this part of my life. My experience doesn't look like anyone else's. I feel like then that means there's something wrong with me. And really internalizing the shoulds, the expectations, the cycle of negative self-talk. It's fear of making decisions. It's isolation. It's so much more than just feeling guilty. It's being fearful to make the wrong decision and then beating yourself up for making a decision. It's listening to all of the chatter that's happening, whether it's unsolicited advice, whether it's a judgmental relative, whether it's being in a mom group where you don't feel supported. It's really tying into what mom culture is telling us we need to do, be, and look like as mothers, instead of quieting out the noise and tuning into what we know to be true, right, and align with our values as moms, as women, as humans, as humans. It's feeling like there's no place for you in this community of mothers. And I don't mean like this community specifically, because there is a place for everyone here. It's living in a state of preventative judgment. Not speaking out against things that you feel are out of line, out of integrity with you, because you're worried about how your family is going to judge you. You're worried about how your friends are going to judge you. You're worried about being canceled, being called out, all of these things. You're worried that if you make the wrong decision, everything in your life is going to fall apart. And it can be an agonizing way to live if you feel so caught up with this cycle of mom guilt. So it starts with the shoulds and the expectations, right? Whether you are about to become a mom or you're already there, because we have a wide variety in this group. We think of all the things we should do based on what we see in our own lives, in social media, in the moms that we know. What all of the experts are saying are the right ways to do everything. And then we place, based on the shoulds, we place these expectations on ourselves. And what happens when we transition into motherhood, or when we go through a new stage in motherhood and things are not meeting up with the expectations that we've placed on ourselves? Instead of realigning our expectations to what our experience looks like, we beat ourselves up. You're doing something wrong. You must not be good at this. I think maybe your mother's intuition was not installed the day that you gave birth. So, hang your head in shame because you're not doing this right. It's safe for you to realign your expectations. It's safe for you to release what the shoulds are and tune into what your inner voice tells you is good, right, and true for your family, for you as a mother. First and foremost, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health is the foundation of how you get to show up as a mom for your family, for your friends, for your community. That has to take a priority. And when you can connect to what healing through mom guilt truly means for you and your family, you can't help but create that space and time in your life for you without beating yourself up about it. You learn to advocate better for yourself, to vocalize your needs to the people around you who might doubt you. There is a solution to working through mom guilt, and I found this in months of, really 18 months since I've become a mom, in my own healing and working with my clients and researching and being a mental health professional. There is a solution to working through this. And I'm not saying that it's going to be erased for forever, because what happens when we start to feel good? We let go of the self-care practices and because we think we don't need them anymore. And then at times, guilt is going to creep in. Anxiety is going to creep in. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you need to get back on track, hone in on your goals and on your self-care practices. So I also want to preface that too. Doesn't ever mean healing is not linear. But it is possible to experience motherhood guilt-free more often than not. And that's the goal of these 3 days, is to help you feel connected with yourself, connected with tools, so that you experience motherhood in a way that diminishes the guilt, that removes the guilt more days than not. Okay, so solution time, right? Healing gets to be simple, it gets to be effective, it doesn't have to be complicated. So what I have found throughout the years, throughout this time, is a key piece in working through mom guilt is understanding, where does it stem from? The voice in your head that's telling you you're wrong for taking time for yourself, you're wrong for making that decision, all of these things, is it your voice or is it someone else's? Sometimes it is ours, and sometimes it's someone else. A judgy relative, some other mom from school who, Pinterest Polly always, has something to say. Is it you? Or is it what you've been told you need to do, look, be, feel as a mom? Maybe those expectations meet your experience, or maybe they've thrown you for a loop and you think instead of changing your expectations, you have to change yourself to be a good mom. It is about feeling connected with your identity and unraveling your identity from the shoulds, from the expectations, from all of these outside things that impact how we see ourselves. This is something I see especially with hyper-ambitious moms. Chances are, if you are connected with me in any way, and you're in this group and you're tuning into this, whether it's live, whether it's on the replay, you see yourself as an ambitious person, whether in life, whether in career. But the thing that career success challenges your identity in motherhood is because then we see motherhood as output driven. And that's where you get into the self-talk of, well, I wasn't productive enough today. I didn't do anything today. I don't deserve to rest. I don't deserve to take this time for myself because I didn't accomplish enough. But what is productivity in motherhood? There is no output. There is no natural end like there would be in career, where you reach a promotion, where you set a goal and you meet it, whether you close a big sale or whether you're a teacher and the school year's ended, you help a patient. It can apply to so many different careers. If you're used to accomplishing things and setting these goals in career, if you're a student, whatever that is, and then you take that because it becomes such a part of our identity. Our careers, especially in this country, in this society, become such a huge facet of our identity that when you transition into motherhood and things slow down, there's no quantifiable end game in motherhood aside from your children. That's really something you decide for your family, raising kind humans, raising successful humans, whatever your goals are for your family. There's no real quantifiable goal. It's constant, it's fluid. And when you're used to working in rigorous conditions, or that's just a big part of you, it translates into your identity as a mother, and it can become really confusing because if you're measuring yourself up to the standards of your identity, of your roles outside of motherhood, these things they're not really compatible. And so how do you start to unravel your identity outside of these imposed roles and really get down to the core of who am I? How can I rewrite these expectations so that my experience matches what it is that I expect out of motherhood? How is it that I can feel so connected with myself that when I make decisions, I don't beat myself up for days, weeks, and years afterwards, because I trust that my ability to make decisions for myself, for my family, are coming from me, and they are not a trauma response. They are not a proactive response to judgment. It is coming from my intuition. But it starts with getting to know yourself in this phase of your life. The transition can be difficult, and that's okay. It's recognizing it, forgiving yourself, and working through it. And there's going to be challenges to your identity throughout all developmental stages of motherhood. Some may feel and look a lot bigger, and some might not. But getting a hold of it now, wherever you are, and creating a really solid foundation, your intuition, your identity, these are foundations of who you are. And when you build something on a strong foundation, then the days that are stressful, the weeks that are stressful, the challenges that are thrown your way, it's not that they're not going to happen, it's that you are going to feel really rock solid in working through them, or in receiving support around them. Because just because you can do it all doesn't mean that you have to. So how do you sharpen your identity? How do you get to know yourself? This is the meat and potatoes of what you came here for today. And this is the piece that will be emailed out to you. I'm going to create a worksheet, a workbook to have these really organized nicely so that if you're listening while you're in your car, you're just listening, wherever you're at, you have these questions to reflect back to. Are you allowing others to impact your identity? How? How is this showing up in your life? How is this playing out in your ability to make decisions? How is this playing out in you judging yourself? One of the key pieces in understanding how to work through mom guilt is also to understand how have you judged others. If we're constantly living in this proactive, preventative state of being judged or feeling judged, the impression of being judged, the fear of it, we also have to understand how is it that I've also judged other people. Who am I outside of motherhood, outside of my career, outside of my role? Who am I at my core? What do I value? What do I believe in? These are good questions just to check in with yourself every now and then, because things Things change. But at the end of the day, it's really important to understand what you value, what you believe in, so that those things can guide you. Being connected with your identity means living in integrity with the things that you believe, with the things that you value. So other people's judgment, other people's expectations of you cannot shake you. This is rebuilding your experience in motherhood as a mom on a solid foundation of love, trust, and integrity with yourself. What do you value? What do you believe in? If you believe in integrity, if you value integrity, but then you're not showing up in your life in a way that mirrors the things that you believe, that's where the guilt comes in. That's where the beating yourself up is going to come in. But it's important that you understand that now so you can work through these things. So guilt doesn't have to be an anchor in your life anymore, so you don't feel trapped inside your anxiety, inside this cycle of living your life trying to meet other people's expectations instead of understanding what expectations you value, what things you value, and if you're living in integrity with those things. You know, that would be like if you're a yoga teacher and you never practice yoga a day in your life. It's living it's not living in integrity. Am I making decisions out of safety and survival, or am I making decisions intuitively and from a strong foundation? And the only way you can know that is if you have a firm grasp on who you are. If you're making decisions out of guilt, it builds resentment in the relationships that you have in your life. If you are making decisions from a place that's, and I say safety and survival, and I really mean, are you making decisions out of a trauma response? Because you want to please everyone, so you say yes to everything, but all of that does is deplete you and create resentment and walls around the people in your life that you love. And so often we do this unintentionally until we realize that we're snapping at everyone around us. And I say we because guess what? I've been there. That's why I'm teaching on this. When you can start to recognize how mom guilt is playing out in your life and understand the roots of where this came from. When did you start to feel that separation, that you weren't safe to show up as you, so you had to wear a mask? No pun intended, 2020 pandemic life. When did you learn that you had to edit yourself to fit in with mom culture? To present the idea, the role that you are living up to the shoulds and the expectations. It's an exhausting way to live. And so when you can get clear on who you are, this is why this is the foundation, this is day one, then you can get connected with the tools that work for you and be connected with a vision for your life and your family that feels right for you. If you're setting your goals and you're setting your expectations based on how you're allowing other people to impact your identity, based on how other people are experiencing motherhood and creating these shoulds and expectations around all of this outside influence, it clouds the intuition and it can make you feel resentful for this phase in your life. Because outside of all of this, motherhood is effing hard. We don't need anything extra making it more difficult for us. And the first step is connecting with your identity in a way that makes sense for you. And if you have never done this before, or you haven't done this since becoming a mom, it might feel uncomfortable. It might bring up old things that you thought, hey, thought we dealt with this a couple years ago, but I guess it's coming back up. This is not to make you feel more neurotic, more like, oh, I have all of these things to work on now. This is to help you reconnect with you in a way that you feel safe and supported in putting yourself first on your to-do list. It's like dating yourself. If you can think of self-care as dating yourself, as getting to know you in this stage of your life, get to know your new interests. Sometimes things from our old lives, pre-baby, or, you know, who you were when you first became a mom versus who you are now, might not be fulfilling you anymore, and that's okay. Get to know you first and foremost, and mom guilt will slowly become a non-issue. Because you won't be justifying who you are and the decisions that you make to everyone around you. Whether that's consciously, unconsciously, outwardly, like you're constantly getting in arguments with your family about why you're making certain decisions, or whether it's arguments that you have in your head. I've done both, don't worry. When you're in the shower really working your way through an argument of having to think that you have to pre-justify certain decisions you're making, trust me, I've been there. So I'm going to be sending out all of these questions that I talked about in this if you are signed up in the link. If not, I'm going to leave the link open for the next 3 days so that maybe if you're coming into the group midweek or you haven't had a chance to sign up, drop and I'll put the link in the comment section so that you can be sure to get these resources emailed to you. I know when I take trainings and the way I like to really hit on everyone's, or when I lead trainings, I like to hit on everyone's learning style. So this is visual, audio, and then kinesthetic. I also, I just like to create worksheets for people, and it feels nice to have the questions organized in a way that you can come back and reflect without necessarily having to rewatch the video. So day 1, we're going to wrap things up. At the end of each day, at the end of each video, I'm going to share a challenge or share an idea, and this is part of the giveaway. So for today, I really want you to reflect on these questions and share your biggest takeaway. How are you allowing other people to impact your identity right now? And how is mom guilt showing up in your life? You can share it as a post in this group. You can share it as a post on your personal page and tag me in it. Or on Instagram, you can tag me in it either way. Share a takeaway, and that kind of gets an entry into the giveaways, as well as invite friends. If you enjoyed watching this video and you have a friend that you feel like would really benefit from this, DM them, tell them, hop in this group, let's do this training together, let's work through these questions together and support one another. Make sure that when they request to join the group, they're putting your name down, that you are the person that invited them in. And I've also been keeping track of people who are inviting people in, because earlier this month we started a growth challenge. So those are also counted in the entries. So day 1 giveaway rule: share takeaway either in here or on your personal page and tag me in it, and let me know what you thought. If you're catching this on the replay, like I said, drop your questions. Is this stuff resonating with you? Do you have anything else that you would like to see addressed in day 2? Tomorrow, we're going to start talking about how to reprogram some of the unhealthy thoughts that might be circulating in your mind. And we're going to get into a little bit of subconscious mind stuff, a little bit of inner child stuff, because those are 2 of my favorite subjects to teach on ever. And the way it applies to how you're showing up in motherhood just is it's going to shift how you are looking at yourself and how you look at your own healing. So it's going to be really powerful. Stay tuned. Again, you'll get a link to the replay and the journal questions from today emailed to you if you are signed up via the link. I'm going to send that out later today, so be sure to hop in that if you haven't already. I am so appreciative of everyone that tuned in, whether you are live, whether you're on the replay, and I can't wait to see how this impacts everyone by the end of the week. So share your takeaways, and thank you.